Indeed, thanks. And here at the Memorial Coliseum, of course, time for our special Comet old-timer guest. And tonight, the guy is, well, he was one of the early Comets that I remembered kind of off the top. Former Comet captain as well, Hartley McLEOD. Hartley, welcome to Comet Corner.
Thank you, Bob. It's a pleasure to be here.
Been a long time since we've had a chance to sit down and talk, and a lot of time, of course, where a lot has happened to Hartley McLEOD. And let's get this thing traced kind of back to the beginning, even before you came to Fort Wayne, and I know you can remember that far back.
Thanks, Bob.
Hartley, of course, had an exceptional hockey record before he came to Fort Wayne. And out of junior, were you drafted by Detroit?
Yeah, I came to Detroit in 1947, Bob.
Now, talk about some of the players in the Detroit roster when you were drafted.
Well, I was drafted. They had Gordie Howe and Ted Lindsay, Doug McKeag, Leo Reese, Blackjack Stewart was there, Marcel Pronovo, Johnny Wilson, Larry Wilson, all those great guys.
Good heavens, Lindsay was there, and was Del Vecchio there at that time?
Del Vecchio wasn't there yet.
He was just a kid then, wasn't he?
He was just young then.
And you were born and raised, and where did you play your junior? Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Selkirk, Manitoba. That's 20 miles north of Winnipeg. And then I played my junior out in Trail, British Columbia for the Trail Smoke Eaters.
Now that in itself is a heck of a story because of the tremendous hockey reputation that Trail had in worldwide amateur hockey. They won a couple world titles in amateur hockey.
That's right, yeah, Bob. We went to the Memorial Cup that year.
As a junior team. And their senior team, I guess, was again, that we're talking about the senior team going to world championships.
Right, they came later, Bob. They came after I left.
You broke the Trail for that one, and Trail, folks, was not what you might call a metropolis, was it?
It sure wasn't, Bob.
Tell us a little bit about Trail. Now, the thing about Trail that other people will associate with, Reno Zania came from Trail. And came down here, and you could tell after Hartley tells you a little bit about Trail, you know why Reno played so hard to stay here.
That's right. You go to Trail, Bob, and it's nothing but a smokestack.
Right in the valley,
Right in the valley, yeah.
Were they, nickel mines, or what were they?
They were gold lead miles.
Oh, yeah.
Lead miles, yeah.
And right in a big valley in the Canadian Rockies.
Right close to the border, right down close to the border there, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What kind of travel did you have to do?
Well, we were traveling mostly by bus, Bob.
Whoa, in the mountains in the wintertime?
Yeah, in the wintertime. Yeah.
Now, did you also have to go up to places like Flin Flon at that time?
No, they weren't in the league then, Bob, no.
We
just toured British Columbia then.
So really you got to see really the most beautiful parts of Western Canada.
Oh, we sure did.
By bus. And of course, folks, I also remember in those days, just slightly, folks, that the buses were no prize either.
Thanks, Bob.
Now, I'm older than Hartley is, so I can kid him just as much as I want. And then after you got done your junior, I know you played some time. Was that in Omaha?
Well, first of all, I went to Windsor, played in this league here, I.H.L.
Mm-hmm.
I played there in 1947.
Okay.
And then I went to Detroit, and they put in 1948, and they sent me to Omaha.
And Omaha at that point was...
that was in the old United States League.
Okay, yeah. And about the time you were there, just to recall another old-timer, was Billy Richardson in the U.S. League?
Yeah, Billy was there. I think he beat us out that first year.
Okay.
Yeah, he was with Minneapolis.
Right on, yeah.
Great player, old Bill.
Yeah, he was something else. Yeah. And I know another fellow that was involved in that crew way back when was Fritchie Frazier.
Fritchie Frazier, right on.
We're getting into names, folks, that I'm sure any of the folks that are listening are...
How about Marucci?
Yeah, Johnny was in that crew, too?
Yeah. Him and Fritz played defense together.
Okay, there you go.
You're probably going around those two big guys.
I know it. Fritchie was, he was just about as broad as he was tall, and Mariucci was a bull as well.
Oh, he was great, yeah. He was a good player.
And I always remember Fritchie Frazier, hardly of the year we trained up in Oakville, and Fritchie ran a motel called Gulliver's Travels up in Hamilton or someplace, didn't he?
You know, they used to call him the Claw, Bob. You could never go around him. He'd just grab you by the head all the time.
That was unbelievable. And Hartley took me to the first Canadian football game I'd ever seen. Remember that was Hamilton and Toronto, was it?
Toronto, right on. Mm-hmm.
And a fellow by the name of Ronnie Knox was the quarterback for Hamilton. And I'd never seen this game played before, and all of a sudden I see the whole backfield running around, and the ball hadn't been snapped. I'm yelling offside. The people knew I was an import pretty quick. But anyway, you got into Fort Wayne, and that was in the early 50s.
I came here in the spring of 55, Bob. I met the team in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And I thought it was in a great league, you know. Grand Rapids, remember that arena?
Oh, was that? Well, I remember that not once but twice because it was almost as bad the first time as it was the second time, but I'm sure that wasn't much of much of a thrill, but at least you got some vindication when you came into this building.
Oh, it was beautiful. I came here, Bob. I really enjoyed it.
And in those days, it was not an easy job to not only to play, even though we were playing, I think, what, a 60-game season or a 50-game season?
I think it was only 50, Bob, yeah.
But we did it all by car.
All by car.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Think of that. In fact, folks, were you playing with us from Denver, was in the league?
No,
Okay.
Denver wasn't in the league.
It wasn't in at the time. I think it was a year or two after when Hartley retired and got into other business. But we had to drive all the way to Denver. We used to go to Omaha and play there and then go to Denver and drive cars.
What a drive, huh?
What would happen if the guys had to do that today? But Hartley had some excellent years here in Fort Wayne. And, of course, settled here, married a Fort Wayne girl, and raised a fine family here in the city. But the playing days that you had here were so different from the way the game is played today.
Oh, yes, Bob. It's a lot better today. You know, faster. The boys are bigger, stronger. Equipment is better. That's great equipment nowadays.
I think if there had to be something maybe that has made a more drastic change than anything, it's got to be the equipment.
Oh,
the skates and all of
the
that.
skates and the pads, the sticks.
Everything
is better.
Used to be made of leather, and you gain about 15
leather
pounds
and wool.
Yeah.
All the wool jerseys.
Yeah,
oh boy.
They'd wash them and they'd shrink up so bad you had to wiggle your way into them and stretch them out to get them back on. And it was all leather, and Hart, that leather get pretty odoriferous after a while.
Boy, I'll tell you.
You had to know who your friends were in those days, folks. You get too close to the wrong person, they'd move you out and nothing flat.
And we didn't have very many players either, Bob, so we had to play.
That's right. In those days, folks, the team was a 13-player team. One goaltender, 3 defensemen, and 9 forwards.
Yeah.
At least if you wanted ice time, you got it.
You got plenty.
And think of what happens now, folks, if you get 1 or 2 injuries in the course of a game.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. That probably made Hartley a more versatile player because you played about everywhere.
Yeah.
Did you ever play goal?
I didn't play goal.
That's the one
place I didn't play. In Buffalo, I played lots of defense.
Yeah. But were you here when you were here when Art Stone was here?
Oh yeah, I was here when Art.
Were you here the night Art had to go in goal in Troy?
Yeah, right on.
Art Stone was again a phenomenal hockey player, folks, and Art Stone was another guy who could have played in any era of the game. He was a great talent.
He was a great talent. Well, he was. Yeah. I wish I knew where he was today.
I wish I knew where he was too. We've totally lost track of him. We had a goaltender. I think his name was Bobby Lalonde at the time.
Bobby Lalonde, right?
And Bobby, there were no goaltenders' masks in those days, folks. They were really men, and he took one right in the kisser, and down he went. And they had to hold the game up to see who was going to go in goal, and it had to be one of our players. And I believe Stoney was leading the league in scoring at the time. And he says, I'll go in. And I know Hartley would remember it as well, because right after he got in, the first 2 shots they took at him, one from center ice went in the net. But after that, he made 28 saves.
Yeah, Hartley did well there.
And did you guys ever work that night? I mean, to tell you,
we hustled.
There was true perspiration on everybody's brow that night.
Yeah, we had a good time, Bob.
And over all the time that all these things have gone on, and one of the guys that I know Hartley was most fond of, as was Doug McCaig, who came here to coach, and he coached you in Edmonton too, didn't he?
Yeah, Doug coached me out in Edmonton. He was a great guy.
And of course, Doug was an incredible National Hockey League star.
Good defenseman, right on.
And they called him Crash. Yeah, and the reason they called him Crash, folks, when he hit you, you never walked off. They carried you off. Well, that was about it, wasn't it?
That's it, yeah.
And he was just a tremendous guy, and a great deal of fun. And everybody has stories they can tell about people, and you could tell Doug McCaig stories from here till it wouldn't quit.
For a long, long time. He was the greatest storyteller, old Doug.
He was, and he was one of the strongest men I think I've ever seen anywhere. And he was a very gentle man, right? Except in hockey uniforms when he had to fight.
He was tough then.
Devastating. And he was just one of those fellows who enjoyed the game so very much, and he was a great joy to travel with. But the teams were really close for a lot of reasons in those days, because you never made a heck of a lot of money to start with.
No, money was become pretty slow, Bob.
And you look at now, not only the money they make, but the way the guys kind of have their social events and party after games and on weekends and Christmas and holidays. Was never the case when Hart and the guys played in the 50s. We'd always end up at somebody's house. The wives would bring the food, and we'd get a 6-pack of Bud, and that was it for the night. That was the big night. Ever have any regrets about playing when you played?
Oh, no, I loved it. I wouldn't take those years away for nothing, Bob. And I really enjoyed it.
You do, and you've done an awful lot here in terms of promotion around the players themselves. I know everyone, I guess, 2 goals, and they get meals at your place.
A couple of dinners at my restaurant. I really love that, Bob.
And the guys love it, too, and it's a real incentive. I know several of the fellas, and I won't mention any names. The first time they went to your restaurant, I said a couple days later, "Have you been to Hartley's yet?" And he said, "Oh, have I been to Hartley's?" He said, "I couldn't believe it. I never knew they had a restaurant like that in Fort Wayne."
Thanks, Bob.
And the guys really, everybody is. In fact, some of the fellows here have ganged up on a couple of certificates, and I heard one guy one night saying, "Look, the night you go, how about me using the extra one?"
We sure enjoy having them, Bob.
Well, you've been
great guys.
After you got out of the hockey business, you did some selling. You did some. I think you were in the retail beer and liquor business.
Right. I worked for Old Crown Brewery 1 year, and then I worked for Gunner for 2 or 3 years.
I guess most of the old timers that came through here in the 50s and 60s. Part of your experience in life was Gunner Elliott.
Gunner Elliott, he's a good guy. Yeah.
He sponsored an awful lot of the old timers from way back when into the country, and they worked for him. And he was kind of like your dad away from home.
Yeah, Gunner was a nice guy. He treated us all great. And he's still treating some of the guys good.
Yeah, the Alco Distributing has always been an incredible place for those people who qualify to have a chance to work and also to stay there if they so desire. But when did you start getting in the restaurant business?
Oh, I got in the restaurant business about 1960, about 67.
Was that the Flame?
That was the Flame. I got in the Flame when I was there 1 year, and then I bought the Hoosier Tavern over on Fairfield Avenue.
Yeah. And then you just kept moving south from there.
Kept moving south.
And actually, Hart got out of the restaurant business for a while.
I was out of the restaurant business for about, well, not actually out of it, but I was away from it. I was managing a golf course up in my home in Canada just in the summertime.
Hartley had the best of both worlds. He went to Selkirk in the summertime, managed the golf course, and then he went to Florida. And did you work down there in the winter?
Not in Florida. Well, I had worked 1 year at the golf course down there.
Of course, the area of Florida you stayed in is kind of like little Fort Wayne. Billy Berg in that area.
Well, I was in Lauderdale the first time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I think Billy Berg's over on the West Coast.
Yeah, and then how long has Hartley's place now been in existence?
It's our 11th year, Bob.
And that's an incredible little restaurant for the reason that it's almost difficult to see how you put people in there. From the outside, it looks very small, but it's very big when you get in it.
Oh yeah, we seat 75 people. That's nice and cozy. Everybody feels right at home there, I believe.
It's a real family atmosphere place. And I think a great story about it with the menu they have. Your daughter went to great lengths and studied hard and did a great amount of work to be able to handle the kind of a menu you were.
Oh yes, my daughter Pam, she went to Italy twice, and she studied in New York for 6 months. And she saw the world, and she does a fine job for us.
Does she do all the cooking, or has she gotten a couple people to work with her?
No, she's got the people that work for her. She's just the overseer and tells them how to do it, what to do with it.
You must have people to do a great job, because I know the times that we've ever been in that place. Hartley's place has got something about it where the food is individually unusual, totally flavored to the proper taste, and always just enough, Some places you go to, you get too much, and other places, oh man, if I just had a couple more. I mean, you seem to get just enough at your place.
Well, thanks.
You enjoy what you're doing?
Oh yeah, we love it there. I have my son Hart Jr. there. He's there helping. My wife helps us, Wanda, and we have a good time.
How's your golf game?
Not too good these days.
No,
I just got back from Florida,
and it's still no good.
Still no good.
And I know Hartley back in the old days had a lot of the old guys and some of the old Zollner Pistons. Eddie Robitelli and Neil and Huey. Yeah. We used to have some of the craziest golf tournaments you ever saw. And it was Neil who did all the figuring.
All the figuring.
He was bookkeeper. You could go out there with a 17 handicap and shoot a 69, and you'd still lose $20. How did you do that?
And that was early in the morning, too.
When everybody was thinking pretty plain. The only thing I always found out about Hartley's golf game, he never hit from the right side of the club.
Oh, we have lots of players that don't hit from the right side of the club.
Strangely, a lot of the hockey players are left-handed, aren't they?
Yeah, we have Repka, Reggie Primo, Thornton. There's a few guys.
And of course,
can't think of them all right now.
I don't know whether Teddy Wright's ambidextrous or right.
Yeah, I think Teddy's left-handed.
Teddy may be left-handed as well. But what it has done with Hartley and a number of other people, it has created an extremely solid core of Komet old-timers. I would say Fort Wayne, Indiana probably has to have one of the strongest cores of hockey old-timers, ex-players of any city, including Major League cities, I know.
By far, Bob, I would say. There must be 50 of us here.
Yeah, I would say that for sure. And I see you haven't been skating in the last couple of old-timers.
No.
You skated in one a year ago, though.
Yeah, a year ago I skated. I was just out there. Yeah, taking a look at the ice.
Well, you were cruising back and forth. One thing, Hartley, he always cruised, you know. He picked the spot and gave me a claim to fame. The one old-timers game that I managed to score a goal in, Hartley set me up for that, put the puck in the net, and gave me credit for it.
We had a great time that day, didn't we?
That was a lot of fun, and I think that's part of the reason that I enjoy Fort Wayne, Indiana. And for that and many other reasons, I would never want to leave this city, and people would tell me, well, hey, when are you going to retire? As long as I have fun, I'm going to stay at it, and I know you're the same way.
Oh, I sure am, Bob, and I love these games.
You're not about to retire from your restaurant either.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So what kind of hours you got out there? And when do we find Hartley out there?
Well, I'm there during the day, Bob, most of the time.
That's right. You know, you get your hot chocolate and go to bed earlier. You're still a picture of health. How you been?
I'm fine. I feel great.
So, and the nice thing, one thing about Hartley the Rascal, and everybody, all the old-timers keep saying, how the heck do you keep that full head of hair growing?
That's good living, Bob.
I know it. It's got to be good living. And this is just a lot of fun this afternoon, and, of course, it's Comet Corner, and our special guest has been Hartley McLEOD, and, of course, now it's Hartley's restaurant, Hartley's Place, and that's out on, what's the address?
4301 Fairfield, Bob.
4301 Fairfield. You'll find it on the left side of the street when you're heading south. And I'll tell you, for an eating adventure, and I mean, I don't care where you might have been in this town or how many stars they put up on it, until you've tried the menu at this place, you have not experienced some of the finest eating anywhere in the Midwest. And I mean that very sincerely, because I have been at plenty of restaurants in plenty of places in my life, Hartley, and your menu and your cooking, I don't know of anybody that does it better.
Well, thank you, Bob. I appreciate that.
Now, appreciate your time here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Any prediction on tonight's game?
I hope the Komets win.
Got to get it done.
It's going to be a great series, I believe.
Yeah. And you know, the goaltending has gotten to be so good. And one last thing before we kind of pull on out of here. Give me your views and observations on what has happened to the IHL since you played in it.
Oh boy. Actually, you know, the IHL is, well, it's right next to the big time now, you know, Bob. It's a good league. We got players down here that I think they could play in the National League anytime.
You know, one thing I'd like to say, though, with regard and in defense of and in respect for back in the 50s and 60s when the NHL was only a 6-team league, there were players in the IHL who had to, because they had nowhere else to go, play senior A at home, who came into this league to play, who certainly were NHL players, but they didn't have any teams to play.
That is true, Bob, yeah. They did.
Some great players that played right here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, among them. So, it's been fun. It's changed a great deal. They're getting a little bigger. They're getting a little faster. And you can always tell the guys that do well, because they're the guys that score at least 2 goals and eat it heartily.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure to have you along, guys.
Thank you, Robert. Pleasure to be here.
All right, we'll get you on the golf course one of these days soon. Eh?
Great.
I hate to play with left-handers, but I guess I'll do it if I have to.
Thanks again, Bob.
You're more than welcome. My pleasure.